downtown. It's, you know, it was low income, but it's like prime real estate for people because it's right across from downtown. So you would want to, you know, now they're trying to take over and trying to build it up, but they really just want that land.
Is that like Art District? If you go over from the Art District straight to the west there?
You're going a little bit west of Art District.
Yeah, so you go over the little bridge there, over into the... okay, okay, just north of... you'd be just north of... Where's Ty from? Oak Cliff?
Oak Cliff.
Oak Cliff, yes.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. For those who are not in Dallas... Apologies.
This doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah.
Okay, RoboCop shot that shit up in Dallas, said Bear Grylls. I have a feeling Bear Grylls, with his comment game, is going to maybe win this.
I think we'd consider it a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop in some questions, get this thing going. But my question is, what is the last lesson of life that you've learned?
Probably be yourself, right? And I've always told this story. One of the best working relationships I have ever had, and this is going to be a bomb because you wouldn't believe this. One of the best working relationships I ever had was with a known Klansman.
What? Really?
Like that. What? Yes. Let me tell you why. Because we knew where we stood with each other. All right? When we talked, we worked, right? Business all day. We can talk business all day, but I knew that I didn't have to come in and ask you how your weekend was doing, you know, going, and I didn't have to sit there and tell you the latest joke I just heard. I don't have to do any of that stuff. And I always want people to be that way with themselves. Just be real, be who you are, you know. And it's like a lot of people not. They're more fake in the sense of that if I don't act a certain way, then people are going to judge me.
Or look a certain way or have certain things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's always been where from when I had that relationship, I said, I need to be that way with everybody, all right? I'm not going to lie to you because, again, I can't keep up with a lie. I'm getting too old for that, you know, but I'm going to tell you, honestly, my honest opinion, you know, if you ask me a question, how's that shirt look on me? It's ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is from Stitch Fix. Don't say it like
that. I
that.
have that same shirt.
Do you
know
really?
What I'm saying? Yes. Actually, because of you is the reason why I wore my co-hands.
Oh.
But
I know. He just said that. He's got them. I have this shirt because of him. This is excellent.
But that's probably the biggest lesson I think I've learned
be
overall
you.
is just be yourself. You know, some of the things I always tell people, right? I think that everybody and their children should all watch Blazing Saddles. You should all watch
Yes.
All in the Family. You should all watch The Jeffersons.
Sanford
you should
Son.
all watch Sanford and Son. Reason being is I loved Archie Bunker because Archie Bunker, no matter what they say, they called him a racist or whatever, he was being himself. And it was the funniest thing in the world when you sit there and say he was just being genuine. He was being honest. He told you what he felt.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like people fell in love with that, you know, not his ideals, but they fell in love with a person that turned around and just said, I'm going to be myself. And when I had that relationship, because I didn't know what it looked like, I was like, okay, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to be that person right there. And it really kind of changed for me. About 2 years ago, I caught COVID, and I caught COVID real bad. I was on oxygen. I was in the hospital, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, life, you know, I want to turn around and say that life is good, right? And a lot of things really don't matter to me that I'm sitting here taking too seriously and worried about where this bill is going to be paid and worried about where this, it really didn't matter at that moment. And so moving forward after that, I just came and just like, you know what, I'm not doing any drama. You know, I don't want to fight about any things. You know, I think most fights that people have is just miscommunication. And, you know, maybe I said it wrong, you know, or maybe you said it wrong and I took it wrong. And it's just now that's just my life. And it's like, you can either accept that or you don't.
How's your stress level since you've accepted just being yourself?
You know, at work, it's a little bit high because I have these high expectations on myself that I want everything to be done right. I want everything to be perfect, and then I know
Nothing
that
wrong
they
with that.
can't be. And so, but when I leave work, I leave work there. It doesn't come out of that parking lot with me, you know. And that's why when I was telling them earlier that when I get home and, you know, the music is playing when I walk through the door because I've set that mood. You know, I'm not taking any other mood in there. And then my house is saying, hey, don't bring that nonsense in here. You just can't do it. I need to make sure that you're in the right mood because I didn't mess your day up. You know, you do what you're supposed to do. Get up, make your bed up in the morning time. That way, you know, if you did have a crappy day, it's good, but don't hang on to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you're talking about having COVID, you were sending video messages to people like goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, I was that was one of my biggest ones on Facebook, and I had a friend when I was messaging out, hey everybody, come on the show, just tonight, and he called me and he was like, I didn't have your number, and so I hadn't talked to him in 2 years, and he was like the last thing he remembered was COVID and that message, and it's like, I didn't know if you were alive or what, and obviously use some choice language that I won't, repeat.
I mean, feel free.
Obviously, Facebook, no, I know how they do sometimes, so.
I know we're trying not to be canceled, although if we do, that's fine, because I'll have this conversation whether somebody's watching or not, but glad you guys are tuning in. But it's interesting because you find this unique, genuine change when people do face that moment of having to say goodbye to a loved one, potentially say goodbye from yourself. All of those things, you start like knocking things off. All of those, all the nonsense seems to kind of clear itself up.
But did it really matter? Those things that you were holding on to, did it really matter what happened in your past, and you're still hanging on to some hatred about something or someone? Does it really matter?
Let me ask that though, because in those moments of clarity, of course, nothing matters because what matters is what's most important right in front of you. But playing devil's advocate on it a little bit, is there value to our day-to-day life by remembering some of these things, remembering how you got burned by this person, remembering the fight that you got in? Is there something that we can learn? Or does it truly not matter and we shouldn't allow that stuff to bug us in the first place?
Well, that's a good question.
I don't know it, but
I think human nature, at the time that it happens, we're naturally wired to press back, push, respond. However we respond is however we respond. It could be on a scale of 1 to 10, but I think at the moment, you are forced to either defend yourself or defend your position. In hindsight, it's usually, what the hell did we fight for? What was that about? Why did we do that?
Yeah, it doesn't seem important on those details, right?
But I think, it's just, but there's an issue where some people just will never let go.
Yeah.
But we have a few people coming in here that says, I don't forget, but I forgive.
Yeah.
Forgive, but don't forget. Because there has to be something from an evolution standpoint that makes us pay attention to those small things when somebody burned us, that stuff. And of course you can give peace at the end because it's not going to matter moving forward. But if you are going to live another 30, 40 years, maybe those ideas, maybe you want to pay attention to who you're letting in your life and who you're not.
So we should bring Saka stuff in?
Yeah, exactly my point. Exactly.
Okay.
This man was disrespected so bad that he was so disrespected that he wasn't even offended to it. His whole mission was to make sure that Nathan didn't murder another human being. And it just turned him into, it's okay. It's okay. At a trade show, he's like, it's okay. It's okay. Don't murder him. And that's why we don't carry Saka stuff. But it's... So
and even when I've said, hey, do you want to look at it again? He's like, nope.
Exhibit A, right? If you're on your deathbed, you probably go, yeah, I forgive him.
Bring in a box.
Bring a box in. Silver Mace is all right. Happens.
But if you really look at that and think about it, right? And my mom, she always says this and always said it, you can't change who your family is, right? But you can, you can control how they dictate your life. All right, and so that's with everybody too, right? And obviously, what was your mindset when you went in and when you met with whoever they are? I just forgot their name because I care less about them now.
Yeah. We'll leave
that's
that.
That's the biggest thing about it. But when you think about that is that what did you go in and expect out of them? You know, because the last relationship you had was great and things of that nature, so you just assumed that theirs were going to be there. Did you give them the first shot that says, okay, I'm going to give them the same opportunity that I gave the last person to see if they, but somewhere their words are not going to be the same, or something's going to be different, you know. But then we take it personal, right? Because they want to go off on us because, you know, we didn't like maybe their product, or we didn't like something on theirs.
It was more.
He was a
disrespect.
dickhead.
It was disrespect.
It was blatant disrespect in that moment, and I think that's
if you're gonna have integrity, and if you're gonna have character, and you're gonna have honor, and you're gonna have all the things that I beat into my kids' heads constantly, is live by those things. When you have somebody that is in that particular moment was the opposite of that. This is an example to set for my kids at that point, and I was trying to stop Nate from throwing him out the booth. But in the end, it was we're not going to reward somebody for this action. We're just not going to do it, and we don't need it. We're going to walk away.
So we gave the cigars away for free, and then we didn't bring them in again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But it's important because you do need to identify who it is. And that's where I think there may be some validity in maybe not holding on to grudges. Of course, that doesn't help anybody. But learning and keeping those lessons you learn into moving forward. You know,
approaching the situation differently, right? And that's probably the biggest thing. What you're going to learn, right? I don't really want to try to hold on to it because obviously, you know, back when I started in management, you know, we had all these case studies that takes a person 16 years to forget one bad experience. I'm like, why? Excuse me. Why am I going to turn around here and allow that 16 years to be held up? Because whatever they did, they probably forgot about you and they're long gone. They're done with it, you know? But you're still holding on to it because you got it. And they're like, all right, I just know not to deal with them anymore, but I'm moving on. And you're still talking about them. And so they're still a part of your life. And it's like, let it go. I mean, it's hard sometimes, and trust me, I will say, coming from West Dallas and things of that nature, we were that area of town that people did not want to go to, you know, because we always was going to fight about something, whatever it may be, it was going to be a fight about it. And so trying to change that mentality in myself was one of those things that I had to really learn at a young age, you know, and mine was that, you know, when I was a kid, I was a little scrawny kid, and you know, and the neighbors would sit on their chairs on their back porch because they would see me come running around that corner because I wasn't going to get in a fight with nobody. But then once I got my weight up, I was like, oh, I can take a lick. Okay, well, good. You know, and so I learned these things, you know. But I also learned that they don't really matter to me. And maybe that might be it. And sometimes it may take you 20 years to get there. I've just gotten to that point now where it's like, it really doesn't matter. It's not that serious to me. And then again, I treat my brain like a hard drive. And so what I'm storing in it, you know, needs to be meaningful to my life. And so why henceforth every week on Fridays I got to smoke a cigar because I'm putting that week behind me. And I couldn't tell you what last Monday was like at work. I can't tell you. You know, my boss might have to remind me of something, but it's like, if I didn't write that down, it doesn't really matter to me because I left it there and I can't change it. So why am I hanging on to it? You know, you can't change that experience with them and them being a dickhead or whatever it may be. You can't change that. That's who they are. But you can change how they impact you, how it makes you feel, right? Because it's going to get you down. So why would you sit there and just continue to allow it to just be a part of your life, you know? But it also helps you in remembering the next person that you deal with and how I approach them and things of that nature. That's the biggest thing about it.
Well, and Beer Grylls is coming in with a excellent comment here that says we all have to practice emotional intelligence when around others in a serious manner. I think that can get into many different things of what emotional intelligence looks like.
What does that look like?
Yeah, but in my head and in my fists, those are different. No, you said that out loud, and it's a good point. No, focus on the things you can control and protect your peace. Yeah, Jeff, that's a solid
What's up,
point
Jeff?
there.
Glad to see you on here. You need to come by the shop.
Is he here?
He's over in the colony.
That's close enough.
That's close enough.
That's,
no excuse.
That's close enough. So yeah, we've already talked about he's not going to some of the other ones. So I'll kick his butt if he's sitting over there.
Find what works best for you and go exactly what works best for you.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing is when we first started this place, there were only a few options, right? There were 2 shops in town in any span of the imagination.
Okay.
Now we have 7, 8 that are
in this immediate area.
right now. You
Yeah.
could have 7 or 8, which is excellent because that means they're one that requires everyone to raise their game or die.
Okay.
But 2, it means you can find places. If CI is something that matches what you look for, great. There's an opportunity for you to go there. If you want something that's good, then come here. But regardless, no. But for real, there are changes.
My question to you would be, what makes industrial different from all of the other places? I can give you my honest opinion. But
I
wanna
would
know what you
prefer
say.
to hear from others, and then I can explain from behind the curtains.
So my experience is obviously it's the home atmosphere, right? This is a place, and I was talking to a buddy today of, while we smoke sticks and things of that nature, it's always one of those good things that men can get together, right? Women come too, but when men can get together and kind of wind down and talk amongst themselves, we need that, right? We definitely, as men, we definitely need that, and you're not formulating an opinion towards anybody. You're understanding that I know what you're going through, and I know that, you can't call off sick at work, because you got to take care of the family.
Yep.
And that you don't want to be sick because it makes you look weak, and so it's like all of these things that other people would know that what it takes to be a man. You can come in here and say, oh, I understand. Yeah. Oh, you ain't telling me nothing new. I got it. I get that, and that's one of the beautiful things about this. And we always talk about the first time we came in, there was a car show.
Yep.
You guys were doing the show.
Yep.
You're like, hey, come on in. And then I saw, and I'll never forget it. And I saw Dad, and he sits over there, and he goes, and he just looks up, all right? And he has this look, and all I can see is y'all bringing kids to the house, right? And he's trying to figure out who they are, and he's like, all right, who are you?
That's
Why
a
are you
perfect
in the house?
description.
And then it's like, do I know you? Do I know your family? But do your family know that you're here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I saw that, and I was like, yes, that right there is the epitome of what we need to have here.
If I can, this means, first off, you and Nina are an irreplaceable part of our culture here. You are an unbelievable addition to the value of the community in which we set out to create, as is Craig, Nicole,
for
Wayne,
sure.
Ron, JJ, Jeff. I could run down, Johnson, everyone in this room. And another piece of this is also immensely important, and it's Luciano who's coming in right now.
Oh.
He says, what makes industrial different is legitimacy, authenticity, and goodwill to serve their clients as their ultimate goal. It's a business, but when you do it the way they do it, you can change the world. And holy shit, Luciano.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
there are.
That's,
I can fit people that I look up to in the cigar industry and put all 3 of them in this front row. It is, and Luciano is one of those that just he sees things through. He just sees things in a different way. I think more importantly, we had set in our mind what we wanted that morphed into something that would only get better. And he sees it and he gets it. And there are people that come in and maybe they don't get it. And maybe that's to your point. Maybe there's other places that are for you. But you hit it on the head. The thing is, there are, when you have men that grew up as boys, what did we do? Is AJ home? Is AJ home? You knock on the front screen door. Is Ron home? And they come out and we'd play, and we would look for a stick or a can, or we'd look for something. You could take an old tire and have a party for a day.
Yes.
But that's what we had. And then we went through school, and then we became professionals, and then 40 years goes by and you stop doing this. This is where you go when after you knock on the screen door, and you're able to come in here and sit down, and boys get a play again. but we get to have a conversation. And we get to talk about the things that are important to us and happen in our lives now. And I think more importantly, this place has become a place where somebody that is having a worse day than you can come in and sit down, and people around them will embrace it and lift them up and make them realize this brought us together, but the fact that we're together is what makes the difference.
Yeah, that's what keeps us together.
And I appreciate the fact that our friend Luciano sees that from afar, because
unbelievable.
He has seen all cigar lounges of all types, but people talk about how cigar lounges like CI are bar forward. Yep. And there's D. Lincoln is restaurant forward. We are culture and lifestyle forward.
I like that.
And if we do this, the cigars take care of themselves.
Yeah,
and it is the business takes care of themselves. But I wouldn't trade this for anything. I wouldn't trade this for anything.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah.
It took me a week to memorize that shit. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah.
Luciano is one of those people that I want to meet. I think I've looked at that interview that you did with him probably 20 times.
He will be here soon.
Yeah, and it's like over and over again. But where do you go that you actually can meet,
When is Luciano going to be having a conversation with anybody in the comments section? It's unbelievable. I cannot tell you. Where can this happen? What a blessing this moment of time is, to just share this with Luciano wherever he is, with everyone in the lounge. This is why we do this.
I think this is home.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do without this place. Honestly,
Yeah, this is, wow. This place actually rekindled why I love smoke, right? Why? I mean, I could go sit on my patio and I can smoke or whatever, but then to get up and actually come in here and walk in, and that there's, no judgmental people here, there's probably more advice on, hey, get over that shit. It's not as bad as you think. Hey, let me tell you my story. And then you're like, oh wow, well, yeah, I guess it wasn't as bad as I actually thought.
Don't you feel that maybe you started by smoking out on your patio, and this was a tool. It was a tool used to relax. But when you get into the right environment, it's like finding out that your screwdriver is also a paint stripper and a torque wrench and everything else. You get here and you realize that what before was a utility that was a device that caused you to relax. You now find out that it's a conversation starter. Yes. It's a friendship starter. Yes. It is a relationship starter. A man that I met 7 years ago in a cigar lounge was sitting at our house for Christmas Eve, sitting with us and our family on Christmas Eve. Had it not been for a cigar, we wouldn't have been together.
Yeah, I think the power of the cigar is remarkable. And I think the misconceptions of a cigar create a barrier for all of us to have a responsibility to introduce more people. It's not for everyone, but just think about how many people are cigar smokers that just haven't had their first cigar yet, right? They just need to find the right experience to walk into the door and go, I didn't realize I was missing this, but this has to be part of my life. It's just that experience, right? It's that relaxation, connection, disconnection. It can be so many different things. And unfortunately,
we are so fortunate from a competitive nature, business nature with 90 cigar lounges in Dallas. We're blessed that the majority of them don't get that. The majority merely provide a place to sit, to have a cigar and go home. The utility of it all. That is not the purpose of a cigar. I've sat and had more conversations with you and Nina, with Craig and Nicole back there, to just sit with people that, now, of course, I'm older than everybody, but to be able to sit there and have so many things in common.
You only got me about a few years.
Just a few years, but have so many things.
There's a lot
have
of
so many
years.
things in common that we can just sit and have these conversations. that, and I don't want to say this in any other way other than the fact that if the average person walked in the front door and saw the two of us sitting here, they would wonder what we have in common.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But
I agree.
But we have a lot.
Yeah.
And this has just whatever wall there was in the world, this knocks it down.
Yeah.
Right? It just knocks it down.
Yeah, and I think it's that ego kill. You know, we have to operate in a certain element of life, understanding that our decisions are correct. Our decisions are correct because of the family. Our decisions are correct because of business. You know, we have to tell ourselves that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, how many mistakes do we make in any given day that are massive mistakes? But here's the beauty and something that I really love, and I love about this show, I love about this conversation, and which may spawn us into our next conversation, which is how many mistakes will you then admit to because you have a cigar in your hand? Once you have that, it almost feels, that's where my mindset goes. If I'm just working, you know, I'm a dad, I'm a business owner, I'm a whatever, I gotta go. But then when I grab a cigar and I sit with you, Junior, and I get to sit with and have a fucking cigar with my dad every week, multiple times a week, I realize I don't know shit. But because we're here doing this, now it's sponge mode. What do we do this? And you guys think we do this show because it's great conversation. This is a selfish idea that I created a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay, this is to figure out, and maybe there's a lot of things for all of us to learn, but specifically for me, I'm trying to figure out how to be as great as my dad. I'm trying to figure out to be as great as my parents are, and I can't do it without listening. So that's what this show is. Like, how can we just share this upon each other?
I think
Make ourselves better. You're right. And Luciano, if I may, Junior, to just type in here, we've got, I love you guys from Luciano. We love you as well. From the bottom of my heart, I will never forget the day we met and the first event we had together. I think about it all the time. Your family made a huge impact on my life, including your extended family of the Industrial Cigar Company. God bless you, and always thank you. Thankful for you. Thankful for you. Cheers. I'll drink to that, Luciano. Cheers. Until soon, we're all drinking with you right now, Luciano. Cheers. I know he's going to make all of us cry. I didn't want this show to get this deep.
All right.
wow. That is deep.
Man.
Unbelievable.
But it's genuine.
That's like being hit in the face with a wet pillow. That is.
That's wild.
Because those aren't tears. That's the water from the pillow. I'm telling you, that's what that is.
Yeah, it's.
I think he hit it on the nail when it comes to you guys, is that you are being genuine, you are being yourselves. You know, I think I've talked to each one of you when it comes down to a cigar, and that's all the boys and you, Dave, and all of that, and the conversation was always the same. It never changed. You know, it was a passion about actually trying to make someone or getting you to learn.
I'm crying, you motherfuckers.
You know,
he says.
getting you to learn this. That was the biggest thing about it with me. I was like, they're actually, where
Cheers,
do they do
Luciano.
that at? I mean, who does that? That everybody it's not scripted, and you honestly, genuinely say, hey, I am passionate about wanting to make you better.
You know, you asked the question a few minutes ago, what makes ICC different? And behind the curtains, it's the amount of love and passion that comes from everyone. And I'm talking Mike Choate, Brandon Byers, I'm talking Allie, I'm talking Ted, Nicole, people who don't have the last name Frakes.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly, the most important people in here are the people who show up every day, who show up early on Christmas Day, Mike Choate.
Yep.
5 o'clock comes in early to be here to make sure that someone opens the door so we have a place for us to go. Like, I think it's important for us to talk about the people who make this possible, and what our vision is we share. And if you don't share the vision, unfortunately, we don't have space for you. But if you share the vision for this, honestly, we're going some really, really bright places.
I think there's a lot of people that cook. They like to cook. There's nothing that gives you more pride when you cook something and you give it to somebody and they love it.
Yes.
And I love that. And we get to do that every day with cigars. We get to say, to be able to take this cigar and to let you guys try a cigar before it's actually released, and to be able to see your experience and see how
long
much
you been
like
standing
it
there?
is awesome.
Mike, you haven't been standing here for a long time, have you? Okay, good. All right.
No,
Shout out to Mike
that
for
does
sure.
make sense.
Yeah, shout out to Mike. Cheers to Mike.
Mike.
Hey, cheers all the way through. Salud. There we go.
Okay, so let's take a pivot. We're coming up on the end of New Year's.
Garrett
and I don't
Reed
know
is
if it's-
firing hot over there.
I don't know if you're the same way as I am, but I love to start the year with a clean slate. So what do you do in prep for the new year? Are there any rituals, anything that you do, you make sure that you do? I have something I do for the last few days of the year so that when I start January 2nd, we got a clean slate and it's ready to rock.
I think mine is smoking one hell of a cigar that ends it out, whatever that means, whether that's the Opus X, whether that's the,
Maria
obviously
Lucia.
whatever it is, the Grand Habano, whatever it may be, I want that cigar to say, okay, how did I end my year? And again, prime example, just here at Christmas, ended up smoking one of the pre-embargo Cubans.
Yeah.
All right. I've been talking about that. Seriously, I have been talking about that since it actually happened. There are people at the job who are like, hey, my husband has a birthday coming up. You need to give me the information. I need to get one for him and things of this nature. And I'm going, it's totally different, all right? And when I sit back and I thought about that, and that may be my end again for the entire year, is that I smoked something that my mom wasn't even born yet. Right? Mm-hmm. My grandparents were probably in their late 20s, early 30s when I sit back and look at it.
Yeah.
But think about the world that your grandparents were living through when that cigar was rolled.
Yeah.
Prohibition they lived through, World War II, World War III. They're living through all of this.
We have a cigar in there that was the year that the Wright brothers took their first flight.
Wow.
And you think about that cigar was 30, 40 years old when the television was invented. You can't help but take that journey back in time. It's going to be the most unique tasting cigar you've had.
Yes.
Maybe not necessarily a cigar you're going to smoke every day, but it's an experience.
It did take me back to, I thought of my grandmother's house, right? And the quilts, right? And what those smelled like, and that chest of just open it up.
The
and it
old
was just,
books.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was a smell that was like, it refreshed memories that I only had as a child. And I'm going, wow. And I'm talking a child in the 70s, but this was way back before then. But it was like, I could understand that why this is so great, But I would have never knew anything about that if I wasn't here,
No,
right?
no.
And the one thing I like about it was that, and I love, and I can't call them staff, right? They're family. I mean, it's just,
that's
when you guys
ICC
are not
family
here,
members.
they're family. It's just like when one person doesn't know something, they will be quick to hold
They'll
on
find out.
1 second. I'm going to bring you somebody in that can talk about it. I know you did that time, and obviously you on the Cuban and coming in. It's like, we'll get you the answers, and you come in and you talk about it, and you're able to talk about it and why, and maybe it might not be good for you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to give you an experience. But,
Exactly.
I'm going to give you that warning as well, too. This may not be what you think. And so you have to have that open mind, For most people, they'll be like, oh, this don't smoke like the ones that we're used to, right? Well,
Yep.
I've been institutionalized when it comes down to smokes. I can say that. So boutiques I was never really into.
No,
till I got here.
you were blinded by the label.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was obviously it was commercialized and things of that nature, and this is what you're supposed to smoke, and you get in there and they sell you on things versus trying to understand you, and here you try to understand your flavor profile and try to introduce you to new things, and then it's like you introduce them to them and it's like, oh wow, this is
impactful.
the best cigar I think I've ever smoked, but I would have never known that unless you came through and said, hey, this is what you want to smoke, and this is why you want to smoke it.
Thank you, G. Reed, for saying that.
Our dear
Appreciate you.
friend Oliver brought in some cigars from 1880, and we smoked those one year for Christmas. And it's still an experience that It wasn't the best tasting cigar I ever had, but it was the best cigar experience.
Okay.
As just sitting down in a chair and literally just cooking your fingers because you wanted to smoke it to the very end. It was just, it was incredible.
Yeah, or singe your mustache, whatever.
Speaking of cigar experiences, what's one cigar experience you've had?
No, that's too trivial. We need to hop
sorry,
into
it
it.
blew up. It'll never happen again.
We need to hop.
Asshole.
Let's.
Mike, you were right about him.
Oh, so so where were you? Are you going to like a moment in time, or are you talking about the cigar?
I mean, you and I had a great experience in Cabo, and that's what created our sub caption, which is or a sub brand, which is we may have had a better cigar, but we've never had a cigar in a better place. That's on our little sacks. That's quote,
not a ball joke.
Not
we
a
have
ball
them on
joke.
our bags.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was something that fell out of my mouth that Brandon went, write that down. Because we were sitting there as sunrise in Cabo on the top of this hill watching the whales go full breach and smoking a cigar. Who gives a shit what it was? But it was just awesome because it was just me and Brandon doing that. I've had the ability to smoke cigars on the tee box at the World Championships with Andrew and smoking cigars when you weren't supposed to smoke cigars at the NCAA Championships with Nate. Though all of those are great experiences. Have you had something like that besides your experience here at ICC that you think back and go, I don't know what the cigar was, but this was the right time to smoke a cigar?
I went on a cruise and we went out to an island, Great Stir Cay or something like that. I don't remember it, obviously. But I was on this island, obviously they took us out to, and I'm in the water and I got my stick and I'm smoking it and I am hunting for sharks. That's all I wanted. I was hunting for sharks and
smoking a cigar.
I was
hunting
smoking a cigar and I know that if I just kind of wait and we'll figure this out and the sharks are going to come up. You go where the little fish is because they're going to get eaten by the big fish, and then you're going to look for a shark, and probably not even 50 yards out was the last shark attack out there and things of that nature. So I'm out there and I'm going hunting for sharks. It's on my YouTube channel or something. I'm like, why are they hunting for sharks? And I'm like, I need bait. And I'm like, hey, why don't you come over here?
Yeah, you're the bait, by the way.
I wanted to take a selfie with a shark. That was my whole thing. I was like, I'm going to grab it, pick it up, and I'm going to hold it, and hopefully somebody gets it before it gets out of my arms. But I was
before it bites your arm off.
But that was a good experience because I was obviously on an island, and it was just it's something totally different, all right? Because there wasn't a care in the world. You're just enjoying yourself, and then you just have that stick, and you're like, wow, this can't be better. And I don't know what the stick was, and
not the Fuente sharks. You're not talking about Fuentes.
But that was probably my best experience.
What's one of yours, Brandon?
I would say hunting for the Northern Lights in Iceland. And that's really interesting. The next night, I watched the Northern Lights light up. And it's really unique how they light up. They kind of streak and take off. They don't all hit at the same time. It's a really unique thing. But the night before, it was still cloudy. But I left. It was in Vik, Iceland, which is in the south of the island. I took the car out and I started driving, and I just went, I'm going to go find it. And I just went out, parked in the middle of pitch black, with just trying to find, and all of the clouds had this green hue. And I just said, if these clouds break, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. But in the moment of just kind of freezing my tail off, just keeping the shutter open, trying to get that photo, the photo ended up picking it up, but I never really caught that break. But there was just this moment of, when you have this moment of solace, the sensations kind of go away. You stop worrying about if you're cold. You stop worrying about all the other shit. There were moments where you just realized, I'm out. I'm disconnected. I'm doing something unique. I'm doing something fun. Couldn't tell you what the cigar was, but I was by myself hunting for the Northern Lights. And I thought, as a kid who grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, this is something that none of my friends are going to relate to. This is all something completely unique. Chasing Northern Lights in Iceland, finding it. Didn't see it that night. Who gave a shit? I just sat and smoked a cigar completely by myself in the darkness, and it was a unique experience I haven't thought about for quite some time.
That's cool.
What's yours, Pops?
Man, I have
No idea what I smoked. No idea.
I have a lot, but
Probably.
oh, I thought you were going to.
He said it. Well, he asked me if it was Aroma Craft, and I said it probably was because that's right when we opened. So it was probably Aroma Craft, like Aquitaine number 5.
I honestly, there was
So many since
there
we've
was
opened.
a time.
What's up, JD?
Actually, just recently, it was after one of our big events, like Halloween or one of those, and we got done cleaning the place up, putting everything back together. It was about 2:00 in the morning.
It was you and me. It was Halloween.
Yeah, shoot everybody out, and then stayed and just lit a cigar and sat in our cigar lounge and smoked a cigar after an event that was spectacular. Everybody was still,
great.
enjoying it, or at least the alcohol was starting to wear off. But to just sit here when this place is quiet and just smoke a cigar is awesome. I'll tell you, the coolest experience that you can manufacture
Stop right there.
is,
Stop right there.
you know where I'm going with this.
No, stop right there for a second. You want to know a point of difference? It was Pops and I at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning smoking cigars, and we were talking about how we should have done it better.
Right.
That's a point of ICC. 3 o'clock in the morning, we worked from 7 in the morning to 3 o'clock in the morning. We were going, here's what I think we could do better.
Yeah.
Now, what's the best cigar? What's the best experience you can manufacture?
Well, Craig and Nicole have experienced this once.
That's where he was going? Is that where you're going?
We
Amen.
are. That is going to be one of the things that will come back for New Year's is Wind Down Wednesday. I can't wait for you to do it.
I'll do it Friday. If anyone wants to do it Friday during the day,
Okay.
I'm going to be in here journaling.
Okay.
So anyone, that's my end of year ritual. If anyone wants to come in on Friday, let me know, and you guys can do a wind down for hours.
What the
This
wind
Friday.
down Wind Down Wednesday is? We take our back room. We have sound deadening, light deadening drapes in there. We uplight the walls in red, so it's perfectly dark. Uplight the walls in red because your pupils don't mess around when it's red light. We put on some chill music. You get a cigar, you get a drink, you got no phones. There's no talking for 2 hours. And by the time you get absorbed into that music and you close your eyes and your mind runs through a lot of visions, experiences. I'll see like my grandpa. I mean, there's a lot of things that'll happen, but then you just completely let go and relax. And it's always a shock to everybody that's done it when I go, okay, it's been 2 hours. And they're like, what? Hold on just a second.
Yep.
You guys have been in.
You know,
it's amazing.
It's interesting.
It's one of the coolest things, and it's nobody has.
Do you have a single takeaway from a wind down? Because I have one.
I do.
Do you have a single takeaway that you remember?
Rob Goodwin. We do this thing called wind down from the wind down. So at about 15 minutes left, I'll turn the music out. I'll bring the lights up just a little bit, and we'll do the wind down from the wind down, and go around the room and ask, where did you go? Where did you go? And Rob is a young man. He's in his early 30s, and he lost 3 friends in a 2-week period. And he got done with that, and he said, I don't know how to grieve. And you're in a room with other people that immediately began sharing their experiences on grieving and loss, and to watch him go from not knowing how to deal with it to being given, in a sense, permission to grieve and understanding of that. And I watched this change this man's life as he's going to experience loss again. So that was one of the things that came out of it, was just to watch him for 2 hours was able to just deal with it himself and let his internal brain do the
needed
math.
it. Yeah.
And it was it's very, very powerful. I can't stress it enough.
The last time we did it, there was a concept that came to me that I now live my life by. And I actually started a process of firing friends because of this. And that's quite frankly, friends of mine who have been friends for 20 years. Love them. I don't have time for them because this concept came to me that was everything in your life is either a tool or a weapon. And you're the vector point. Look at everything. Look at money. It can be a tool to drive you or it can be a weapon. Your friends. They can enrich your life or they can make you worse. Cigars even, right? It can be a crutch or it can be a tool. Every single element in your life is either a tool or a weapon. There's no black and white in these elements. It's only how you use them. And maybe sometimes you need it to be a weapon. Maybe sometimes you just need to accept that I'm all right with eating, a pound of chocolate. It's going to hurt me, but I kind of need this, Yeah. But in this 2 hours, which felt like 5 minutes, I started going through every different scenario. Tool or weapon, tool or weapon. So now up on top of my desktop, I have tool or weapon. Everything I'm judged on my day-to-day operations is tool or weapon. How do you use it? It's a very, very impactful couple of hours.
And with all of the stuff that is hammering you from day to day, you would never have a chance to stop long enough to let your brain have that thought.
To have a cigar in silence.
You have to do that. You have to do it.
Like I said, I'm going to do that Friday. So if someone wants to come in,
I'm in.
I'll be here probably around 10. But we can do multiple flights. It doesn't matter. You guys, we'll talk on who's in. Yeah, whoever's in, you guys let me know and we'll do it. But
I think I'd have to take this place as a tool then, right? And I'll just listen to your story, and so it kind of brought back some things. So when I was going through COVID, I was losing a lot of people that were close to me, mentors and things of that nature. And this place really kind of opened it up. And when I sit there and think about that, walking in this door and being welcomed the way that I was welcomed was like, I truly needed that. That was something that probably just really kind of changed my life about what cigar, about people. I mean, just forget cigars right now. It's just people. And it's the way that you treat people and the way to walk in the door. And it's just like everybody is the one thing I love about here is that people walk in and they make it a point to walk around and shake hands and talk to everybody, how you doing, and you don't know them. And I think I truly needed that in my point in my life. And it made me better to say, you know what, this is what I want. So I'm taking it to the job. And I'm doing all these other things just because that tool, it could have been a weapon, right? Because I could have had one bad experience. And it's probably somebody that probably just don't even come in here, but they were coming in here and I just interacted with them. But everybody that I talked to never changed. And that's what made it, this place here made it a big difference in, where is there a turning point in your life and something that changed, and it was here. It was the family, right? And I'm
right,
not
Josh?
just saying the family of
right,
you guys.
Josh?
I'm talking about the family. I'm talking about a Ty. I'm talking about Craig and Nicole. That family changed everything for me that I'm like, that's where I got to be. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
It's where we got to be, right, Josh? I mean, this is our conversation for 2 hours tonight is just, you never know necessarily when you're in that fork, and Josh is man enough to go, I asked, is it a blow off valve or is it a fork in the road? And it's really easy to make an excuse. I just need a little release. But to just look at yourself and go, I'm at a fork. And in those moments, you need a place like this, whether it's this place or another, but you need people. You need community. You need someone to go, I got you. I got you. Let's go.
I had an experience last night, and a person came in and sat down, and they know that I haven't had a drink since 1984. and conscious decision, just quit. And a person sat down and said, "Can I ask you a question?" "Sure." "How did you quit?" And it was this. There was this second where I went, "Where else would this conversation happen?" I mean, it was the reality that I was about to enter a conversation that we're in a place where somebody feels comfortable enough to sit down with another person and say, "How did you quit?" With the thought that's going through his mind, which is, "I'd like to."
Yep.
And that is, we're just a retail store. This shit doesn't happen at Nebraska Furniture Mart. I'm just telling you that right now.
Yeah.
It's just
NFM? Yeah. Yeah, go buy a Bose speaker and ask them.
yeah. And I want to talk to you about something deep.
Developing a sense of community, truth, mutual support. It's what a church should be. I agree. Now, let me ask this. On top of that, it's like,
Hey, Ron.
we understand that in these moments when people are being vulnerable, we turn into coaches or mentors or friends, right? Family here. What is it like to now take that on as now this individual, truly, you have a bit of a responsibility.
Oh,
Because
I was
this person
wide
is
open.
This person
I was
is
wide open.
screaming.
Yeah, no,
Help me out.
I was wide open.
And I think you see that is you have people who scream out. So like, what is your approach when you see somebody who's going through something that they need your help? And what is the extent of our responsibility to make sure that change goes through? What is that extent of our responsibility to help get them connected to
as a human, I mean, and I think you're probably one of the most caring individuals, and we haven't known each other that long, but one of the most caring individuals.
Yep, I agree.
So I think the way I answer this is probably the way you'd answer it, which is there is I guess your wiring is to help. Are you the guy that drives past somebody that's got a flat tire, or do you stop and help them and change it? I want to be the person that stops and helps and changes it. And so I feel this obligation to help where I can help, if that makes sense, and then embrace that, you know. And
yeah.
How about you?
I've been in management for well over 25 years, and I'm always having to lead and guide and tell people different things. But I learned that if I can help the problems, because we're quick to say, "Hey, leave it at the door," right? You leave it at the door, right? But then when they come inside, they're going to be thinking about that all day.
Yeah,
They won't leave it at the door.
they can't. It's impossible.
It's hard. But if you can help them in that part of understanding that, I can be as empathetic and help you, and let's find a balance between what you're going through and what the business is asking for. And sometimes you're going to lean more towards them. You end up being more of a coach and a counselor and things of that nature. I think one of the biggest things that happened to me at the job was just walking in the door, and I still beat myself up. I had to go through counseling, grief counseling, and things of that nature. I walked in, and the lady had collapsed, all right? And I'm holding her in my arms, trying to tell her everything's going to be all right, and everything, we're going to get through this, things of that nature. Well, she died. All right, and mine was, I don't ever want to be the last person that you see. I want your kids and whatever your
Right.
family to be, but I was that last person. And so it was like, okay, did I give you the words that comforted you, that say, okay, I can go on to that next? And it bothered me real bad, because I was like, well, why me? And why was it me? Of all these people in here, why did I have to be that person to hold this person in my arms and actually watch them die, And I finally learned that I had to be that person. I was the person that was chosen to do that. And how I responded was with love, because I looked at it now as, am I holding my mom in my arms? Am I holding a child in my arms? What am I doing? Where am I giving them that comfort? And I've just learned that that's what I have to do now. You have to. As individuals, as humans, as decent humans, I'd say as that much, is that we have to sit back and say, what are we getting out of it? I didn't get anything out of that, right? I mean, but I helped somebody.
What did she?
you know, and that's the biggest thing is that we have to, and I see that, and I'll keep talking about this place over and over and over again, just because of the impact, you know. And again, I've always said, if you've impacted one person, you won.
Yep.
You know, that's it. You know, if
Absolutely.
they can go on and be a better person and pay it forward and do something for somebody else, you've actually won. Because I'm not getting anything out of it, right? And you guys obviously are, you know, educating me in the sense of, I don't see this as a cigar lounge. I don't. You know, the sticks will sell themselves over there. I really think that's always going to be there.
Us as well.
It's just the people and coming together and saying, no matter how effed up this world is, there are still good people in the world. You know, whether they're the humans here or if they're the aliens. And yes, I believe in aliens. I think y'all talked about that. And
We're gonna in a second.
you know, and I love that part of it because again, but if it's a believe, does that satisfy?
But you know, I gotta say something though, because I think it's too few to say if you've impacted one person. I got to be honest. You know, I think maybe I'm young, maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm too hungry. But in the reality of the world in which we live, we have 4,000 regular customers, something like that. But Josh Sims and I were just having this conversation. Every individual represents a family. Mm-hmm. It represents a husband, a wife, a dad, a coach, a community leader. And if their small experience with us becomes their better, now we're talking exponential growth. I will not be okay with helping one person. I've helped one person. Right? I could check that box and then if something happens to me on the way home, okay, cool. Yeah. But the reality is, I think we have to be focused on one more person. One more person to help, one more family to impact. If that dad who was going to go home and be dysregulated because of job work, whatever, but he goes home and is
relaxed.
There, he's there, and he doesn't scream at his kids for no reason. Look, I understand it, but we have to look at these moments as if we can impact that one person in that one moment, excellent, make it for the better. Now move to the next. Mm-hmm. Not move them and see you later, but move to the next for the next conversation.
Right.
You know, and I think that's our role. And maybe that's what we, in opening this business, is what we do. And
it was
the community.
I mean, it was obviously
we didn't
never
expect it.
It was never part of the planning process. It just naturally happened. But I think it naturally happened because we wanted it as we saw small groups building,
and not to
continued to grow. So that's,
you know,
I see like Fish down there. He's been coming here since day one.
Yep.
You know, he's been part of this little nucleus of a group that has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. So you just hope that you're making an impact on everybody's.
Yeah, and like, and I don't want to minimize the sentiment of if we make impact in one person's life, but you already did that when you were holding her in your arms, and she passed away. You made the impact, right? You were there when she went to a greater place. Okay, impact's done. Well, what else are you gonna do? That you do this every day. Every day you walk in and just say hi to anybody. Yeah. You and Nina, Craig, Nicole. I mean, like I said, we could talk about everyone who else is in here, but we got to focus on those people who don't know what exists outside of these four walls. We have to show them what exists in here. That's our responsibility. Our responsibility, not necessarily ours, but if we all share that vision, it is our responsibility.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cigar smokers out there that haven't, like you said, haven't had their first cigar in this type of environment. Yeah. There's also a lot of people that haven't smoked a cigar yet, that if this is their first experience, they'll get on that ladder that I've described in the past as the cigar journey, with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people just milling around underneath the ladder. But we help get people up on that ladder and start making that climb, and it's so much fun. And then when you have the Lucianos of the world that help you climb 2 steps at a time, makes it even better.
Man.
Yep.
I think one of the biggest things about that is knowing what your purpose is in life. All right. And that moment probably defined what it was and my purpose of helping people.
Yeah. What is your purpose? How would you guys, both of you guys, I'm curious.
I think the biggest thing is knowing that my purpose is to help. I mean, whatever that is, and to give what I can give, right? And obviously, you know, you came to the friends and family, right? Didn't know y'all that long. Didn't really matter to me about just, hey, I have an opportunity, come here. You know, you didn't know what you were going to walk into, right? And you walk into it, and it's like, oh, this is a great experience. I just wanted to offer it up. You know, it's like, I don't get nothing out of it. You know, I don't get a bonus every year. There's nothing out of it but watching a smile on the face of somebody that said, man, this was amazing to me.
Yep.
That was it. So I felt like I helped, right?
Oh, you did.
So, you know, when you realize what your purpose in life is, right? And once you finally realize that purpose, then life is better. Y'all realize your purpose. I truly believe that y'all have realized that the purpose is to change, because there are a lot of people out there that are smoking cigars. There are a lot of people that are in cigar lounges that think that is what a cigar lounge is supposed to be. You know, and I've been around and going that that's not what a cigar lounge is supposed to be. That's not it. This is a conversation that you can, some of my best conversations have been in lounges with people that I've never known, you know, but it's just me and them in there, and it was the greatest experience. The lounge probably sucked after that, but you know, it was just like I never had that experience, but I knew at that time I needed to be there with that person, and we needed to feed off of each other and our energy, and it was great at that moment. Here, there's always those great moments. That's the one thing about it is that when you walk in here, and
It's not a fluke.
And the funny part about it, somebody's going to walk in here because they're looking at that experience, right? They're listening to us, and oh yeah, we're going to go in there, and then they're going to walk in here with this high expectations, and they're not being themselves, their own, you know, guard or whatever it may be, and maybe had a bad day, and then they're coming here and they're going to feel like they have a bad experience. I can't do anything about that. You know, who did you sat next to somebody that just came into and didn't know the culture, and you know, or whatever it may be, and
Or you sat on your phone and didn't want to make that connection.
that's it. Sometimes my phone comes out because I always have to take a picture of the stick. It just helps me remember what the stick was that I smoked. That was it. But other times I'll put it down, and it's just like, hey, I want to watch a game, or hey, I want to have a good conversation with somebody.
Live in the
there.
moment.
Or sit across from you, and then you just sit there with me, and you just shake your head like, yeah, I understand. You know, this day. That's it. I get it. I get it. You know, when we don't have to talk, because we know that there was a day for you, it was a day for me, and you know what? Let's enjoy the sticks, and you know, we can have a moment of silence, like you said, and know that, man, that was the best experience I had, because they got me, I got them. They understand as a man what I'm going through. I understand what they're going through as a man, and how difficult that can be. And that's the beauty of here, is that, again, I want a conversation, I have a conversation. You know, it's going to be sitting there. If I don't want a conversation with somebody, I'll sit next to somebody that's probably not going to talk to me or whatever, you know, but we're still having a good time in our own world.
Right.
But we're here having that good time.
Yep.
Dad, what's your purpose? Not the easy answer.
Not the easy answer.
Because you've already fulfilled your purpose on that side.
my purpose,
you have three excellent men.
My
Yes.
purpose, I felt, was to raise three great men that would continue to raise great children, and so I find that I'm very content in life right now, because all three of these boys their actions never cease to amaze me. So I'm blessed from that standpoint. I sit back in awe and watch these guys change lives at 30, in their early 30s, and at 30 I was too selfish.
True.
I was had a house full of kids and knew that I had to go sell something. But the fact is what they took away from work ethic, watching work ethic, gave them a work ethic. And I just think that's it. But I think now it is to do whatever I can do to help people have the experience that you've had here, and whatever that is. I mean, however we do that, we try so many different types of events to bring people together. You guys gave us an idea for an event, you and Nina last week, and I immediately shared that with Andrew. We
Coming
talked
soon,
about it
2
in our,
weeks.
We talked about it in our meetings,
Okay.
and we're going to do it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you know, it is that is listening more and executing on good ideas, and that was a great idea. The idea in general is basically we're going to sit around the campfire and talk about who we are, what we do, and let people connect on a broader scale and in a larger mass, and make that connection, form that friendship, that who knows where that will go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and at some point one of those friends is going to need help, and now they know they got the power of 20 that will help.
Yeah.
You know,
They don't feel alone.
they don't feel alone.
That's the thing, is that you don't feel alone, right? And,
Yep.
and obviously, you know, in my situation, I'm always, you know, I'm home alone, or, you know, I see Nina on the weekends, you know, but I'm for the most part home alone. And what does that look like? You know, walking into an empty house and what I'm feeling. So I have to set my mood of what my day is going to be like, right? And not get caught up on that. Hey, I am going home alone, you know, and do I feel good about that? And there's a lot of people out there that don't, you know, and it's okay. And I'm tell a lot of people it's okay that you're that way, you know. But there are people out here that you can sit back and talk to, you know, and obviously come in here and just, you know, and sit and find people that, you know, understand what you're going through, and that's probably the biggest
What
thing
about you,
it.
kid?
I don't know my purpose is yet. I mean, I have 3 beautiful children. I have a wife that I'm blessed to have in my life. I'm glad to have the life I live. You know, it's pretty easy to get emotional about it. But I don't know yet. You know, it's
It'll find you. It'll find you.
I'm just very proud to live the life we live today. And yeah, thank you for cutting that. Yeah. So thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm a young whippersnapper, as Ron says. Yeah, I don't know what my purpose is yet, but if I can make the kids better than I am, my responsibility to the community is there. If I can set an example for other people, then great. My purpose will find itself. But I know if something happens to me driving home, that I'm going to have a big funeral, and I think I've earned it. And I've earned it through action. And you know, it's a great blessing that I've been bestowed from my parents, from my opportunities, and from the subconscious in which has been beaten into me. You know, and I think it's very powerful. But I get to see my purpose in here every day. And for those people who are joining us, you know, Luciano, Everett, Josh Sims, you know, everybody who's here I think you're watching my purpose. You know, I don't know how to define it yet, but this is special, man. This moment is special, and I get to share my purpose with everyone else, and I'll figure out how to define it. But it's to have Luciano say we're one of the best places to be in the country, best people to interact with. You can buy cigars anywhere else, but you know, this is the best place to me on the planet. People just don't know about it.
You can't buy this experience.
You can't buy it. You can't fake it.
A genuine experience like this, you can't buy it. So yeah, go buy cigars everywhere else, but you're not going to get that experience unless you're here. I truly believe that. You know, and I think your purpose is to be a good, decent human being, whatever that looks like, right? I mean, you know, Dave didn't have a manual that says, "Hey, here you go, do this every day, and this is how you'll be a good father, and this is what you have to do." There's no manual out there.
Yeah,
there's not.
Yeah.
You know, so, but if you have those the core of what you need to do, right? Be empathetic, you know, and have a good heart, you know.
Be caring.
And you know, obviously, you'll learn, because some people you'll let into your lives probably shouldn't be in your life, right? But it's a learning moment. You know, whether it was a bad experience or whatever, it was a learning moment. And if you just be a decent human being, I think at the end of the day, you've won on everything else. That's all that matters. Because again, if your kids can be decent, they won. Be respectful.
Yep.
You know, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Just be respectful on that, and you know, and that's probably the biggest part of life that a lot of people just don't get. You know, and if I had this back when I was 20, man, I can imagine what my life probably would have been.
Yeah.
You know, my question to both of you is, if you could go back in time and change anything about your lives, what would it be?
Yeah, I got that.
And what would that be? And I'll go first while you think about it.
Thank you, Luciano. Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything. Maybe I might put a little money in the stocks, but I wouldn't change anything. and the reason being is because of my trials, tribulations, my heartache and my pain made me into the person that I'm in today. And I want to be that person. And if I had to go through all of that over again, I probably would go through it, just so I know that at the end of whatever my lifespan is, that I felt that I did, a decent job with life when it was all said and done.
Mm-hmm. What's the change you make?
I think that later in life, I learned that there is success and there are lessons. And early in my life, I thought there was success in failure. And when I failed, it slowed me down because I wasted a lot of energy on the failure, and I didn't learn from the failure. But when I adopted the fact that there's no such thing as failure, there's only lessons, that it's something that in my 40s, I wish I would have learned that in my 20s. And who knows where life would be. I look at the path that I walked, and it's I just know that I walked that path, and particularly in business and with integrity, and it got me further than a kid that's from Omaha that didn't go to college and just went out and worked hard, But yeah. I think just if you fail, or if you think you failed, just what can you learn from that, and don't do it again.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, for me, mine feels so trivial. It's don't follow a chick out to a Division II school when you could play at the Huskers.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I would have worn the N on my helmet from the beginning. That's pretty simple stuff. But, we all live the life we live. And if we learn from our mistakes, then at the end, it's
I'll never
we get
forget.
to live the life.
I know that's something he struggles with, regrets. When he was at University of Nebraska at Kearney, out at this D2 school, it could be, playing football and doing everything he wanted. And then he ultimately transferred to Nebraska. But when I said, if it's not Nebraska, then go to Kansas or go to Kansas State or go to Iowa State and play. And he goes, nope, I need you to see me come out of that tunnel with the N on my helmet. And if it wasn't that, he wasn't interested.
But you know what? It never happened, and that's a regret that I live with. But it's something that makes it easy for me to work 70 hours a week, because I know I would have done it different. I'm okay with that.
But I watched you on the big screen at Memorial Stadium running out for the state championship. And I was standing on the sidelines in the Husker Stadium watching you run out and seeing you up on that screen. I'm 100% satisfied.
Well,
100%.
I think with all that, I think it's about the right time for all of us to hold up a glass, hold up whatever you got. If you're at home, if you're here, I think this has just been an incredible show, and this is a big old salute.
Salute!
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Cheers to all of you. Thank you guys for joining us. This is Cigar Talk Live. This is where we pour our hearts out on Facebook
It's the internet
for some reason.
It's the internet, so we feel obligated to tell everything.
No,
And-
Junior,
and-
thank you.
I appreciate it because I didn't want Facebook to cut this live off, because I didn't know what was going to come out of my mouth. So, but I do appreciate the opportunity that you guys, obviously have given me. I love your family more than you realize, just because of what you brought into my life that you don't know, and the impact of that. You guys, I probably could never tell you or show you more than
The fact you keep coming back.
That's I'm gonna have to be like kicked out. So I'm gonna keep coming back and not going anywhere. And if this place wasn't here and y'all were selling cigars out the back of your trunk, I'd still be right there.
Well, thankfully, we're still in business.
we
We're
can
going to
make
be
money
busy for
doing
a long time. Yeah, there's less rent.
Hold on, the rent's lower.
Yeah, but
All
with
right.
that, no, thank you guys. We appreciate all of the love, all of the support, everything that you do from a week-to-week perspective. We would not give this up for the world, and you better believe it. Pop's always taught us you fight for two things. That's your family and your life. I'll tell you what, you guys are my family and my life. I will fight for all you people. I love you so much.
That's it.
Love all of y'all.
Cheers.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Adios, suckers.
Wow.
And